In episode 1, I talked about that standard field of view, what we essentially see with our eyes, which is 50mm on a full frame, 35mm on a crop, super 35mm sensor. And whilst we can shoot so much with just a single lens, we want to get a close-up, we walk closer to the subject, and if we want to go wider, we walk back. Using different lenses has a really profound impact on both the subject and the background. In this shot of Julian, both he and the lock are very prominent in the frame. You look at it all and you take it all in. 18mm, a nice wide angle. And as we go on to a longer lens, we are narrowing our field of view, so we're seeing less of the lock. Julian is still the same in the frame, background is knocked out. He is becoming more important, and it's the same as we go tighter. 50mm, a narrower field of view, the background is continuing to get knocked out of focus and we're seeing a lot less of that. And as we go on to a longer lens, we're starting to see what's behind the lock. We are pulling that background closer to Julian. We're starting to see the bridge. And as we go on to a longer lens, we can now see the traffic on the bridge. Julian is still the same size in the frame. He is still important, but the whole frame has completely changed from the beginning one, which had the lock and him. And at 300mm, you can really pull that background close to Julian. It's a completely different shot. It tricks you into thinking they are much closer together. Here's a great example of that down on Brighton Beach. This is at 400mm, and it looks like these kids are in imminent danger of being hit by this wave. But in reality, they're actually completely fine and not that close to it. It really is a dramatic effect, using a long lens to pull the background closer to a subject, something you can only do by using a longer focal length. You cannot do this with a standard field of view lens. This is why lenses and lens choices are so important. Your choice of lens will also affect how a person's face will appear. So we're filming Julian on various lenses, from a long telephoto to a super wide, and you'll see the changes in his face as we go wider and wider on our field of view. On the telephoto lenses, they do look very similar. He doesn't change that much, but his face is slightly broader and somewhat flatter. As I just explained in the previous section, you are seeing that change in the background as well. So there is a double effect on that, both to the subject matter and to the background. It's when we get into the focal length range of around 50 to 90mm, which is the portrait range. This is the most natural and representative of what Julian looks like in real life. Around 85mm is pretty much him as I know him. 50mm is also very similar. When we start going wider, we start seeing an unnatural distortion of the face. It's not what he actually looks like, but the lens is making things look different. His face is looking somewhat wider, his nose bigger. It's not as flattering. So we get to the point where we go so insanely wide, he looks just completely bizarre. Sorry, Julian.